The future of blockchain and cryptocurrency has been a hot topic at the World Economic Forum this week. My colleague Trinity Chavez sat down with the chief of staff of a nonprofit to talk this very topic. Let's take a look.
My biggest takeaway from this week is really that crypto is good for business, and there's a lot of optimism and momentum around sort of what can come next for the crypto and blockchain industry. And we've seen that both, on the institutional front, that institutions now, are looking to move on chain and do tokenized funds and see the benefits of that. One thing that I heard this week, is Jenny Johnson from Franklin Templeton was talking about how in asset management industry, costs have gone up in the last 10 years, up 80%, and revenues have come down 15%, and how they're thinking about blockchain to really help bridge that gap and find, efficiency, lower cost, an always on market operation. And when we think about it on Stellar, institutions can process 50,000 transactions for just $120, whereas traditionally they're paying $1 per transaction, and that costs $50,000. So, I think there's a lot of, what I've heard a lot this week is just enthusiasm and optimism about where the industry is going and how good it can be for business and different use cases. And excitement about a friendlier regulatory environment that's going to enable that.
And what are some of the latest announcements that we can expect within the crypto space?
I think what you can expect, is that more institutions like Franklin Templeton are going to get in the space now. I think, there's been some hesitance because they haven't really known what the regulatory environment might look like for them. And, you don't want to dive into something when you're a regulated financial institution without really understanding that environment. So I think now recognizing that that door is maybe going to open and there'll be more opportunities, I think we can expect a lot of financial institutions to start taking advantage of that. I also think we're going to hear a lot more because, Brian Armstrong from Coinbase was talking about this on stage. Danelle, our CEO, was talking about this on stage. Just really the impact we're going to see with stablecoins. Stablecoin market cap today, I just was looking it up this morning, is $220 billion. And I think there's also just a recognition from leaders and stakeholders across the world, actually, about how crypto and stablecoin powered payments have the potential to really empower the global majority. And there's a real world need for that tech. And I think we can expect a lot more folks figuring out how they're going to deploy stablecoins to enable a lot of those payment use cases that make it way more affordable to send money cross borders. And that's going to create efficiency by finalizing transactions faster. And that can be interoperable in that global way, that really enhances our financial system.
And as this new administration continues to make its way into the crypto space and has been crypto friendly, what are we seeing coming out from a regulatory perspective? What are you seeing there on the ground?
We don't have specifics yet. So that's why I'm mostly saying it's a lot of optimism about what's going to happen next. But I think the discussion is that, with the incoming administration, I think folks feel that there's going to be more regulatory clarity on, what is a security, finally maybe having stablecoin legislation in the United States that will really help innovators, confidently engage and build, whether that be an individual developer or, a big multinational enterprise. And I think, what also has been, because what's kind of special about this conference and this time here in Davos is it's really a huge group of global stakeholders. And I think folks were waiting for the United States to take the lead. And I think there's a lot of, feeling and optimism that now that we have this incoming administration that is a lot more supportive of crypto and kind of what it can do, that the U.S. will finally be in that position to lead on all these fronts and ultimately what that can do for the U.S. dollar. And, those use cases we're talking about for bridge currencies and USD-backed stablecoins. So I think, I don't know, but if I had to say, I think my hope is the first thing that we're going to see is stablecoin legislation in the United States, because I think that was something, that was kind of recurrent in the conversation here about just how valuable that's going to be for the United States.
And what challenges do you see for institutional adoption of tokenized assets, and how is Stellar addressing them?
I think it really has been the past 4 years, and in the administration, some of the engagements with the SEC, I think, have been complicated. It's been hard to know really where financial institutions can play when you're talking about tokenization. And I think now that this potentially is going to change and the SEC leadership is going to change and we're going to see, sort of just a different tone, I think that's a signal that financial institutions can engage. I think what we at the Stellar Development Foundation have always tried to do and will continue to do is just to be, a partner in education for regulators and policymakers to make sure they understand what the tech is capable of. And really kind of maybe dismiss some of those concerns or hesitations that might, be the blockers to being able to adopt it and getting the kinds of legislation and regulations we need in place to really grow and make our financial system more effective and efficient.